Welcome to another episode of the High on Hoops NBA podcast. This is Nick Massioli, and joining me, as always, is my co-host Steven Hendrickson. Steve, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, Nick. Just watching the Knicks Lakers right now and getting ready to talk about some All Stars with you.
Yeah, Knicks Lakers. LeBron's definitely chasing that scoring title. That didn't quite get it tonight. He was about 90 something points shy, but you still got a few minutes left. He'd be going a little bit of a scoring run and get up to that. But as of now, he's still chasing that scoring title. But today's topic is going to be the All-Star bench predictions, All-Star reserve predictions for the 2023 All-Star game, which is coming up in about, I think, in 3 weeks. I think it's February 19th is the date of the All-Star break. But yeah, so we actually had the All-Stars starters announced at the end of last week, right going into the weekend. So we're going to get right into it. We're going to start with the East All-Star starters. So I know you had a little bit of a gripe with what we had announced there. So you got anything to say about these East All-Star starters, Steve?
Yeah, I have a little bit of an issue with honestly a couple of selections.
Interesting.
First,
More than one. Okay. I did not
yeah,
expect
a
that. All
couple,
right.
a couple.
There's one there
Uh,
that most people have had
yeah,
a little commentary on, but let's hear what you have to say.
yeah. Actually, his jersey's hanging right behind you. Yeah, no, Kyrie's an issue for me. In all honesty, uh,
That's the
Tyrese
one. That's the major
Halliburton.
one that people weren't really feeling.
Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton. Honestly, was my pick to be the second All Star starter next to D Mitch.
Fair.
I mean, D Mitch was shooing, but yeah, I can't say that I think that Kyrie should have been a starter. Like his performance has been good. It hasn't been spectacular. Like
I
it
mean,
hasn't been that great.
I would argue the past couple of weeks he's been nothing short of spectacular. I mean, he
Mm.
stuck it to the Knicks. I mean, as we mentioned in the last episode, he brought them back to against the Warriors that night. But all right, I mean, it's fair. It's a fair analysis. I mean, what
I
else are you gonna
mean,
add there?
the last few games, it's definitely been really good on Kyrie. But at the start of the play without Kevin Durant, like they were bad. They played really bad those first couple of
No, yeah,
games, and
it took him a little while to get going for sure. That's no argument around there.
but yeah, and I mean, we don't have to get into all the other stuff that goes along with Kyrie Irving, but I mean, I just think that Tyrese Halliburton earned a starting spot this year, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I agree with that. I agree that Tyrese Halliburton probably should have been over Kyrie, but like honestly, that's really not my gripe. It's a popularity contest. It's the All-Star game. I mean, when it comes down to it, who's like tuning in to see other than like people like us, who's tuning in to
Yeah.
see Tyrese Halliburton play in the All-Star game? I mean, it's a great sight to see. I think we're gonna see it. I mean, spoiler alert, I think we're gonna see it. But at the same time, it's Kyrie Irving. He's always a show. He's having a great season. I really can't complain too much about Kyrie over Tyrese. So my main gripe is just, I mean, the voting system itself, it's flawed, that's for sure, but I also understand why it needs to be the way it is. But I mean, if you're really talking about who should be the five guys representing the East, who are the five best players in the East so far this season, I think there's no question that Joel Embiid undoubtedly should be there over Kyrie Irving. But obviously, he's not a guard. We need to have two guards and three front court players in the starting lineup. So by default, I mean, you could argue that Giannis or Tatum should not have been in over Embiid. He probably should have been in over Tatum, honestly, but we're not going to get into that. We're talking about the bench today. But yeah, that was my main gripe with the All-Star starters. I would probably slot in Embiid for Kyrie, but obviously the logistics of it doesn't work that way. But that
Yeah,
actually does bring me. Go ahead.
that's a fair gripe. It's a fair gripe to have. Like, I mean, I've thought about it, but at this point, you're not changing that whole system. Like,
That's what it is.
you've
It's annoying,
you've
but it's
changed
like
enough.
it's not like it's something that's like this needs to be changed. I'm going to start a
Yeah.
petition today. It's really just something that's it's the ins and outs. It's the way that it works, and you really can't complain too much. At the end of the day, they're all going to be all stars, all six of them. So I mean, does it really matter if Embiid didn't get a
Hmm.
goal in the starting? Honestly, it's probably better for him. He's kind of feeds off of that.
Yeah.
That snub. He's obviously been snubbed, if you want it, snubbed of the MVP past couple years. Between Giannis, Jokic, he's always up in that conversation. But it's a conversation for another day. But that's going to bring me right into the East All Star reserves. So we're going to start. So the East All Star reserves. This is how we broke it down. We have three front court players, two guards, two wild cards, which is all as per the NBA. That's how the voting works. Those are the classes of players that get in. And then we also tacked on an injury replacement on each conference. Uh, Kind of an excuse just to get another guy in there, but also there's bound to be one injury on either side. So we figured we'd have one for each conference in there. But yeah, getting right into it. My first All-Star reserve for the East. We're going to start with the front court is Joel. It's really not much that has to be said about it. He's obviously we said I think he should have been a starter. He's an MVP candidate. He's a top 5 player probably right now. It's the top 5 changes every night, but he's up there. So I mean, yeah, I really don't have much else to add. I don't want to spend too much time. This is an obvious pick right here, but what else you got to say about Embiid?
Yeah, well, remember before I said I had a couple of gripes
Right. Oh,
with
yes, you
the
did actually. That's true. I kind of
yeah.
glossed over that.
I was waiting until we talked about Joel to talk about my other
There you
gripes.
go. Well, yeah, there you go. Rolled right into it. All right. Well,
Yeah,
what do you got to say
yeah.
about Joel?
Uh, I know it's a popularity contest, and I know it's kind of a legacy award as well. But the guy that I would have taken out was probably Giannis. He's a captain. He's a captain. I understand that,
Yeah.
and he had like the
Right.
most votes. I guess you would say. I know the
I
voting
think
system works like
I
in a
think it's fan
combination
voting for the starters or something, or 50% fan, 25 media,
50
25
fan.
players. Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that.
So like I mean, obviously Giannis is going to be the starter, but if you really look at the numbers and the way they've impacted their team's season, like as a whole, I do think that KD, Tatum, and Joel are ahead of Giannis right now.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I mean, Giannis isn't having the greatest season by his standards. There's a very high standards to live up to, but Joel is averaging 34 a game. KD is his true shooting and effective field goal percentage is in line with like Nick Claxton, Jokic, like guys just that are
Right.
just around the rim all the time.
Yeah.
And then Tatum is probably top 3 MVP conversation right now. I
Yeah.
mean, he has the best team in
He's
the
up.
East.
He's in that conversation for sure. I don't know about
So
top 3, but he's definitely in there, top 4.
so Giannis is out for me. Giannis is out for
Okay.
me, and I would put Joel in. But yeah, that's enough about Joel.
Yeah,
I
that's not
know.
the exercise though. Yeah, that's not the
Yeah.
exercise. Right. Yeah. Well, we're gonna. Yeah. So, who would be your first front court guy in the East? I guess probably Joel.
Other
Right.
than yes, Joel is my first front court guy in the East,
All right.
and I think we might disagree a little bit on the last two. My next front court guy is actually Pascal Siakam.
Mine is not. So, give me your case on why Pascal Siakam should be the second front court guy as an East All Star reserve.
Well, I know the Raptors haven't been great this season, but
Have been. Yeah.
this isn't an MVP award. This isn't like a team award. This is a player award for how that singular player has played this entire season, and he's carried them to a degree that I didn't think that Pascal Siakam could carry a team.
Okay.
Fred VanVleet's been awful. Like he's been awful. OG's been good, but OG's in and out. Scotty Barnes has been good, but he's having a lesser season compared to last year. So I just really think that what Pascal has done with this team. I mean, he's averaging like 6.5 assists a game right now. That's pretty crazy. Like I know the triple double culture has kind of just like faded just because it's become such a common occurrence. But what Pascal doing is really difficult right now, and I think that he's second best player off the bench in the East.
All
Who's
right.
your guy, Nick?
Yeah, I totally disagree with you. I honestly
Yeah.
probably couldn't disagree much more than I do disagree with you. But my second guy is actually Bam Adebayo. So I have Bam up here. He's having his best scoring season yet. He's averaging 21 points a game. Efficiency is about the same. He's not a shooter. He can't shoot threes, but he's like a couple ticks down in terms of field goal percentage. He's really just shooting twos, so you don't really have to split it between twos and threes. Effective field goal percentage is about where it's supposed to be for him, comparing to the rest of his career. But he's a defensive player of the year candidate. I mean, he's a top 3 candidate, I would say. I mean, I don't know if that's due to his merit as a player or due to his mouth as getting himself into the conversation. He's very vocal about it. But
Yeah, he
nonetheless,
is.
he's in the conversation. He's top 3 in that conversation, top 4 or 5. I mean, he's up there with, Jaren Jackson, we talked about last episode. He's definitely one of the front runners there. Brooke Lopez, I mean, he's in there. You have Claxton, but I definitely would say Bam is, top 4 in that combo right now. And the team success. I mean, the Heat have slowly been climbing up the standings. I don't think they're going to crack that top 5, but I would be willing to bet that they're not going to slip out of that top 6. I just trust them a lot more than every other team in that play-in mix. And I got to give it to Bam. I mean, like I said, he's having the best offensive season of his career right now. He's averaging 3 assists a game, which he's a good passer. We know that. And I mean, he's scoring. That's not his forte, and he's still able to get those 3 assists. But yeah, I would say between the offensive output and the defense and the team success, that combination right there is definitely going to get Bam in that second spot for me.
All right, so I was kind enough to let you finish there,
Yeah, no,
but
yeah, I see you're making some faces over there. You don't like
yeah,
what you
yeah,
hear.
yeah. I'm not loving what I hear. This is an all-star game, Nick. What do you play defense in all-star games now? Is that what we do now? Do we play defense
Yeah,
in all-star
it's an
games?
all-star game, but I mean, at the same time, the voting, you're not voting based on who is going to have the most, make it the most fun of a game. I mean, I know I did say it's an all-star game. Who wants to see Tyrese Halliburton? But that's more about the starters. We're talking about the bench right now. I mean, this is coaches are making this decision. Coaches care about defense, man. I definitely, I mean, look, I see your pick is Pascal. I like the pick. I mean, he's having a great season. It's not my
And
pick, but
I'm not saying that Bam isn't an all-star this year. I'm just
okay.
saying that Bam is
He's not that second
not
guy.
he's not the second guy.
Okay.
And first off, he's not even the first guy on his team. Like Jimmy still runs that team, and they do not play
I
well
mean,
without
games
Jimmy.
played will tell you that Bam has been carrying the team this year. I mean, Jimmy's been there, but he's not been. I don't think
Games
he's been
played.
the engine keeping them to this point now. I think he's heating up in the past few weeks, past few months, but I don't think he wasn't there from the start. I think without Bam, I know it's not an MVP award, but I think without Bam, they'd be much closer to the bottom of the standings. All right, but
I mean,
all right.
I don't disagree with that statement, but they were really like teetering. They were the 9-10 seed for a while, like
Now
11.
they're the sixth seed, and we're
I
two
know,
weeks out of All Star
and
break.
what does that coincide with? That coincides with Jimmy Butler coming back and playing
All right.
consistently.
But
That's what
the
it has
reason that they're
coincided
in
with.
that spot to be able to go up three seeds, the reason they're not in the 12th seed is because Bam has been holding it down while Jimmy's been out. But all right, this is enough time we spent on the second front court spot. We obviously don't agree. I think we agree here on the third one, but I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, you want me to go first? You want to go first?
Yeah, yeah, you can go. You can go, Nick.
All right, I got my boy Julius Randle in here at the third front court spot. I really don't think there's much debate here. He's definitely in one of these front court spots for me. He's been nothing short of amazing. I mean, yes, this season, but really like the past 2 months, he has turned it up. Like he has been incredible. He's definitely one of the top 15 players the past, I mean, I'd say definitely this month, probably since mid-December, this past run he's been on has been nothing short of amazing. But I actually have some stats here. So he's third in double doubles on the year. And in my opinion, I don't think it's very debatable. He has the best mix of scoring, rebounding, and 3-point shooting in the league right now. And the reason I say that, so when you look at games with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 3-pointers made this season, he has 7 of those games, by far the most out of anybody in the league. The next is Tatum with 3. These stats are per StatMuse. But yeah, so he's far and away he's getting these double doubles, but not only is he getting these double doubles, points and rebounds, he's also hitting ton of threes. We know he's a great first quarter player. He comes out hot every game. He gets them rolling as a team. But
He's the best first quarter player in the league. Best
he is the
first
best
quarter
for
player in the league.
he is
If
the best
only
first
that
quarter
could
player in the league.
translate to the fourth quarter a little bit more.
It does not much. But like I said, he's a fun player. He's putting up great stats. He's like 25 a game, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. I mean, I think he's honestly better than he was 2 years ago when he had that breakout season. I think in terms of just decision making and just his feel for the game, and like having Brunson has really opened up his game to be a lot less forced. There's a lot less forcing going on with him. And then just to double down on my point, so I know people will say, well, Jokic shoots threes. He's way better than Julius Randle. Embiid shoots threes. He's worlds better than Julius Randle. Well, okay. So Julius Randle is 25 points per game, 11 rebounds per game on 2.7 threes made per game out of 7.8 shot. So that's 34%. Embiid, yes, he's 34 points per game, 10 rebounds a game on 36%, about 35.8% 3-point shooting. But he's taking less than half the threes Randle's taking. This volume is so much lower. 1.2 threes made, 3.3 attempted. Same thing with Jokic, same story. Same 25 points a game and 11 rebounds as Randle. Obviously, he's averaging 10 assists. Randle's not doing
Yeah.
that. But in terms of 3-point shooting, 0.9 threes made per game, 2.3 attempted. So that's 39%, but he's less than a third of the volume that Julius is on. So again, I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. Julius Randle, my pick for the third front court spot. Amazing mix of scoring, rebounding, 3-point shooting. I really don't think it can be debated here.
And with that said, I completely agree, Nick. I completely agree. The only one that like I don't really care for is like the totals. Like he has the like total amount of
What? You don't
double
care
doubles
about
on the
that
season.
stat?
I
25
don't.
points, 10 rebounds,
I
5 3-pointers made. That's a telling stat. He's the
I
only guy
do
that can do
care.
that
No,
consistently.
not that, not that one, not that
Oh,
one.
never
I'm
mind.
speaking of like you saying that he has the most double doubles in the league,
Yeah.
or
What?
however
No,
many.
third most. Third most
I
double
don't.
doubles in the league.
I
Double
mean, like
double machine, bro.
obviously that shows that he plays a lot more games than everyone else. Like he doesn't take nights off.
He's an
Like
Iron Man. He plays well. But I mean, I wish I had the stats up right in front of me. I don't think it was even it was like there was no like star player in his vicinity. I get what you're
yeah,
saying. You don't care about the totals, but it was a lot of like Bobby Portis was either third or was either fourth or second. But it's like
yeah, I hear
guys
you.
like
I
that.
hear you.
I don't know, but I guess you're right. It could be a testament to
Yeah.
he's
But,
played like about every game this season, so that definitely gives him
yeah,
a leg up. Most guys in
yeah,
this realm aren't
definitely.
playing like
Other
that.
than
But
that,
okay,
I don't have any
all
problems.
right,
Like
it's fine.
Julius Randle is my guy also. Uh, watching him right now, actually trying to take down LeBron. It's not
Hmm.
going too well. Down
No.
by 6 with about 2 minutes left. But
LeBron
let's
getting
go on
118
to
tonight.
I
LeBron's got to get like 100 more points, right?
yeah,
He
let it
might
go to
do it.
overtime.
He might
He
do
just
it.
keep
Yeah,
letting it go to
overtime. Yeah, that's all you
overtime.
need. You need
Overtime.
overtime. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, but moving on. So that's the front court for us right now. I mean, there could be some more front court players coming up in our wild cards, but we're gonna move into the guards now. So we have two guards coming up. So who's your first guard here?
My first guard is the guy that I said should be starting over Kyrie, Tyrese Halliburton.
Fair. Good pick.
If that's is that the same as yours?
No, it's not. So
Okay,
you could
so
give me why Tyrese Halliburton is your pick, and then I will tell you why I disagree. Actually, but I mean, it's not.
he
Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. I mean Tyrese leading the league in assists. Harden might have passed him just because
No,
at
not yet.
first.
Not yet.
Okay,
Games
because games
played.
played
Games
was an
played.
issue for Harden.
He
Yeah,
will. He'll pass him soon.
yeah, and if and honestly probably about by the All Star break, but yeah, no, I Tyrese has been amazing. Like he's been so much fun to watch. Everyone that was upset about him getting traded from the Kings has reasons to be upset, but you know the Kings fans have reasons to be happy right now. We're not up to that yet, but
We're not up to that,
yeah,
but
no,
that
Tyrese
will be touched upon. Yes.
for sure. Tyrese has been amazing, man, and I just think that he's been the best pure point guard in the East, which I know it's not like pure point guard, then shooting guard, small forward, power forward, then, but I think that counts for something, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I love Tyrese Halliburton, and honestly, I'm gonna refrain from saying anything negative about him because spoiler alert, as I already spoiled before, I guess is a double spoiler alert. He's on my list here. He's on my ballot.
Yeah.
But my first guard right now is actually Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown, there's so much talk about Tatum right now. He's averaging 30 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, having an amazing season, amazing efficiency. That's all true. Like that's amazing defense. That's all true. There's a guy on that team who's doing just about like damn near the same thing right
Mm-hmm.
now, and he gets a lot less credit for it. I mean, I even saw this is just a little random side note. I was on Twitter like a few days ago, and someone like replied, the Celtics like lost the game. It's just like, yeah, well, Celtics didn't have their second best player. They're talking about Marcus Smart. It's just like, dude, this guy is totally like that's what I don't know. That just bugged me. That's just something I had to get out there. I hope that's not the narrative on Jaylen Brown.
I
It's definitely not in my circle. But anyway, regardless, Jaylen Brown's definitely my second guy here. So he's averaging, as I said, I listed Tatum's averages 38 and 4. Jaylen Brown's averaging 27, 7, and 3. Like, what's the difference, really? Like, is there really that much of a difference? I even put it this way. I know the stats are inflated now a little bit, but I thought about this. I was like, Carmelo Anthony 10 years ago averaged 27, I think 7 and 3, or maybe 27, 8 and 3. And it was like the craziest thing since Larry Bird. This was like it was insane. I mean, he was in the MVP conversation. He was top 5 in MVP voting that year. But those numbers apply them to a elite perimeter defender, and that's what you have in Jaylen Brown right now. So he's averaging 27, 7, and 3. He's the second best player on the first seed, the leading team in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics. He has elite perimeter defense and elite scoring, elite offensive output. So I really like honestly, he's like second to Embiid for me on these reserves right now. I think he's definitely the second best reserve out of the players that I have listed here. And for me, by far the best guard. I really like I said, I love Tyrese Halliburton, but I mean, legacy and just statistical output this year. I mean, he's doing this as the second option right now on a loaded team, and they're having amazing success. And I mean, it's 1A and 1B, really. I mean, obviously Tatum has a tick above him, but like at the same time, Tatum and Brown could each have 30 in one night, or sometimes Tatum drops off, Brown picks it up. So this is really a no-brainer for me. I mean, you could comment on it if you want, or we can get into the second guard spot. But yeah, Jaylen Brown for me.
I mean, another spoiler. Jaylen Brown is also he's my second guard.
Okay.
So
I'd say, yeah, unless you have something to touch on to add about him, I'd say we could move on to the next spot. But whatever you want to add on Jaylen.
nah, yeah, I just like completely agree. And the only reason I made him my second guard is because he's the second player on his team. I know we just
Fair.
talked about
That's fair.
how
He's not the
he
leader
is.
on his team. Yeah.
He's not the leader on his team. Tyrese is very clearly the
Okay.
leader on his team, and he's completely changed that franchise in a year, which is kind of crazy. Obviously, not him alone. Like they did great
Right.
in the draft and all. But yeah, no, I completely agree with everything you said. Just that one thing just kept me from making him my
Okay.
first. Now he's my second.
Okay. So he's your second. So we could skip over your second. We touched on those two. So my second, keep in mind, above Tyrese Halliburton right now.
I
My
hear
second
you.
is
I'm
my second
hearing
is
it.
James Harden. So I have Harden here, number two. I see the face. I'm willing to change the face, maybe if you like what I
I
have to
mean,
say.
you could do
So
your best. You could do your best,
as
but
I said
I don't think
before,
it's changing.
Tyrese Halliburton is leading the league in assists per game. I believe he's also leading in assist percentage, which very impressive, obviously. But I think that's only because I know the assist per game is only because Harden does not qualify. It's pretty dumb. I mean, he's really not missed that many games. I think he probably needs to play like 5 more. If I had to guess, I have no idea. I don't have the numbers in front of me. He's played so
Yeah.
many games at this point. It's such a slight drop off from like the guys that are really in the mix right now for these for season leaders, whatever. But yeah, so he's at like 11 assists per game right now. So he's the assist leader in a few, probably by the All-Star break. If he plays every game, I'm sure he'll be the assist leader. He's the floor general for the second seed. He's totally transformed his game to be a floor general. And on top of that, he's back above 20 points per game. I think he's 21 points per game right now. On the best shooting from three he's had in years. So he's actually at 38.6% from three. That's a huge part of it for me because it shows that he's really adjusted his game. And I know like a ton of credit goes to Tyrese Maxey. Took a step back and he decided like it's okay with him to be on the bench.
Yeah,
But
I
at the
love what
same,
Tyrese did there. I love what Tyrese did there,
yeah, for
especially
sure.
with how well DeAnthony was fitting with the starting lineup. I mean, I love it.
Exactly.
But
Well, you get
go
that
on, go on.
you get that defensive look with Melton. You bring Maxey off the bench, but that's not what we're here for today. So yeah, so I think that really opened things up for Harden. I think he's been playing a lot better since then. But when you watch him again, the past few years, it's really just been you could tell like he wasn't right. Like something was off. I don't know if it was situational, if it was injury, it was health, it was we thought maybe it was age, but I think he's not that Houston Harden. He's not averaging 37 points a game. He's not trying to average 37 points a game. But he's really solidified his role as the floor general for this team. He wants Embiid to get that MVP. You could tell he wants Embiid to dominate every night. He's totally deferred to him. And like I said, he's really, really picked up his 3-point shooting. So I think he realized that if this is gonna work with this team, he needs to take a step back, become that off-ball shooter that we've always wanted to be. And he still has that mix of step backs and everything else in his game. But yeah, that's why I have him here, number two. Yes, over Tyrese Halliburton. I think just honestly for me, I think it was just the veteran nod. I think I was just like, you got to give it to the vet at this point. Like I said, I have Halliburton here too, but for me, Harden definitely got in as the second guard here for me.
So I mean, yes, I understand everything you just said with Harden, and I gotta say we're disagreeing, but we're not disagreeing. Like all these guys are gonna be on the All Star team, coming off the bench, playing basically the same minutes. So it doesn't matter like where you take them. And
Where on the reserves you have him, but okay, but you have him.
yes, as you said before, you have Tyrese. I assume that means he's in your wild card spot.
He's my first
one of
wild
them.
card, and Harden's your
Yes,
first wild card.
Harden is my first wild card. So
Okay, okay,
it's not a problem. Like we
okay,
have the same guys. I'm perfectly fine with James Harden
yeah,
being there.
and
I echo everything that you stated about him. He's been amazing, and I
yeah.
love the way that he's changed his game a bit. But yeah,
Yeah,
what
I
were you
agree.
saying?
And on Halliburton too. Same thing with me. I have Harden here in my second guard spot. I have Halliburton my first wild card spot. So it's interchangeable. I think we both
Exactly.
agree. Neither of us want to tear anybody down right now. I think we both agree that they're right there, neck and neck. I mean, they're pretty much in the same spot on our ballots. So, all right. So yeah, that's enough on those two guys. So we can move right into your second wild card. So this is our second to last pick.
Yeah.
This would be the last pick, but we, like I said, added on an injury reserve. Sure, there could be an injury on either side. Kevin Durant actually said that he wants to play the All-Star break. He actually said
Yeah,
he's looking at
I heard him say
maybe
that.
maybe returning a game or two beforehand, get his legs under him. So hopefully we don't have an injury reserve, but we have one here. But before we get to that, we have our last wild card. So who do you got in this spot, Steve?
Yeah, my last wild card is someone that you brought up before, Bam Adebayo. I agree that he is an all-star. I agree
Okay.
that everything he's doing is amazing. I was kind of I was having trouble choosing between him and a few other guys, just
Okay.
because like Jimmy was in the conversation for me, but I just he's really not played any games. Like he's really not played any games. Bam, like you said before, he kept them afloat. Like they didn't surge with Bam. They kind of just stayed steady.
Right.
And then when Jimmy came back, they surged. But
I
Jimmy's
agree.
in and
I see
out.
what you
Like
mean there. Like I could see where you're coming from with that. Yeah, Jimmy was in and out. I had Bam up there because he was a stabilizing force for the team, but like it's really interchangeable, and it's really interchangeable when I tell you my wild card pick. So I had Jimmy here in this wild card spot. We touched enough on Bam. I agree. Bam should definitely be on the ballot, but I'm making my argument for Jimmy right now, and he's over Pascal for me on this ballot. So this was interesting to me. This was not my intention at all. I actually originally had Pascal as my second front court guy as well. And as I just compared him to each guy, he went down a spot. And then Julius is in my wild card. And I looked at Julius versus Pascal in the season. I was just like, no, it's like Julius has definitely been better this season. Maybe not on defense. Julius, we know, is a little bit abysmal on defense. So I mean, I guess I'm contradicting myself here right now, but I mean, it's an all-star game. I don't want to see defense. But
oh,
anyway,
okay.
anyway. So I actually did some head-to-head comparisons between Jimmy and Pascal, and I ended up going with Jimmy. So you would think that it's a lot less games played, but it's really not. I think it's like 36 to 42. So it's really a wash there. They've played about the same amount of games. I don't love the games played thing. It's just like a thing I feel like we have to do. I mean, obviously, if you played like sub 30, I'm gonna like definitely not count that as much because that's like you're starting to teeter towards 50% of the season. But when you
Yeah.
have a guy within 5, 6 games, it's pretty much a wash for me. But anyway, I went with Jimmy because the counting stats are almost identical per 36. So yeah, Pascal's averaging the 25, 6.5, and 8, but Jimmy's averaging like 22, 5, and 6. And he's playing 33 minutes a game. Pascal's playing like 38 minutes a game. So
Nick
you
Nurse
adjust this per
loves it. Nick
36.
Nurse loves
Nick
it.
Nurse, yeah, we know Nick Nurse strikes again. But you adjust this per 36. The counting stats are like damn near identical. And
Yeah, I hear that.
Jimmy's efficiency is actually more impressive. I think it's like 50% effective field goal percentage for Pascal, and I think it's like 54 to 55 for Jimmy. And then on top of that, we have the team success. And I also just think Jimmy Butler's a better defender, even at this point in their careers. Jimmy's a dog. Like, I know Pascal's a great defender, but like if you had to lock someone up for me tonight, I'm going with Jimmy. So Jimmy gets my nod as my last wild card guy. But Pascal does get the shoe in with the injury replacement. So I do have Pascal here at the injury replacement spot.
It's
Before I get into that, you want to give me your injury replacement right now?
it's so like Jimmy is not my injury replacement, even though he should be. I don't know why. I didn't even really consider Jimmy for my ballot because he really dogged it to start
I
the
didn't
year.
either. And then I
He
thought
didn't.
about it a little bit more and I was like,
I
I think he
know,
has to be here.
I know. But the way I saw it, like if you're not trying, like it's not. I'm not saying he's not trying, but he wasn't
He's
Jimmy to
not trying
start
to
the
be an
year.
all-star. He doesn't care about it.
He doesn't care.
He
He's
has
trying to
no it's
win.
not even in his head.
All he cares about is like winning. That's all
Yeah,
Jimmy cares
exactly.
about. Doesn't care
And
about
it
all the
shows. It
accolades.
shows for sure.
It definitely shows. And my actual reserve was DeMar
Okay.
DeRozan. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, DeMar DeRozan was my guy just because uh, he's he, he's arguably better than he was last year. It's just not getting as much attention
Yeah.
because they're not as good a team. And like they're about the same level of a team, but they're just not
Okay.
winning as many games. But
So you got
yeah,
DeMar there
no,
in the injury replacement.
I got DeMar there. Like I just
Okay.
really like what DeMar has done, and I
So,
just took him over Jimmy.
so it's funny, like this kind of he was this trio here, Jimmy, Pascal, and DeMar. It's like weird. The counting stats, like points, assists, rebounds, are all like weirdly like very, very similar for all three of these guys. Like very close. It's like neck and neck all the way through. So I actually DeMar was another guy who kind of just slowly fell down my ballot because he
Yeah,
was my wild card. And then I'm just like, no, I think Jimmy or Pascal has to be there. And then he was my injury replacement. And I'm like, no, I think Jimmy or Pascal might have to be there. So I did another head to head. And now I have Pascal and DeMar I was comparing. And so I ended up going with Pascal because the counting stats are slightly better. I think he's like we said, like 20. They're both like 26 points a game, but DeMar is like 5 and 6, and then Pascal's like 8 and 6.5 or whatever. I don't know, assists, rebounds. You know the whole thing. But anyway, Pascal's efficiency is slightly worse, but he's better on defense, much better on defense than DeMar DeRozan. And I think he's done more with less. Like to your point, his team, the roster, it looks good on paper, but everyone's been having a down year besides him. Even I mean, I know OG's been having his best year of the career, but he's not really like a running mate that's going to be able to pick it up. So Pascal's really carried the Raptors to where they are. Meanwhile, I think if DeRozan were to miss some time, I think LaVine would be able to step up just fine. And I think they'd be in a better spot than the Raptors without Pascal. But yeah, so Pascal gets in as my injury replacement. And then in terms of honorable mentions, it's not really necessary, but these are some guys that were also in my consideration, but didn't get there with them. Obviously, DeMar was my number one honorable mention. He was really in strong consideration for a spot on this ballot, whether it was a wild card or an injury reserve. But then my second honorable mention is Trae Young. We're not really huge Trae Young fans around here. Like you've said
Oh my
before, I think
gosh.
he alienates his teammates. I'm not a huge fan. The counting stats are incredible. He's like 30 and 10 or something, like something crazy. But
The
the efficiency's not
efficiency is
there. The
so
defense is
terrible.
terrible. And honestly, I don't have the stats to back this up, but like I don't really know if the Hawks are any better when he plays. I've watched many games where DeJounte Murray is the lone lead guard and he's holding it down just fine. They were in the game with the Blazers. I don't know if that was last night or 2 nights ago without Trae. But then my third honorable mention, Darius Garland. Fourth, Zach LaVine. And fifth, Drew Holiday. I don't want to touch on any of them too much. Just figured I'd throw their names in there.
Yeah,
They were up for
no.
consideration, but they never really got too far down my ballot.
You said Darius Garland, right?
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, the only other person that I would add is Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, he would have been my sixth, but I was just like, I got to keep it to. I
Yeah,
can't
just
have
keep
that
it.
many honorable
Yeah.
mentions. I'm gonna run through my ballot actually, and then you can run through your ballot. So East All Star Reserve. So my three front court guys were Joel Embiid, Bam Adebayo, Julius Randle. My two guards, Jaylen Brown, James Harden. My two wild cards, Tyrese Halliburton, Jimmy Butler, and then my injury replacement was Pascal. And yours ballot was
Mine was Joel, Julius, Pascal in the front court, Tyrese and Jalen in the back court, and then my wild cards were Bam and Harden, and then my injury replacement was DeRozan. So we have all the same guys, just besides DeRozan and Jimmy,
Jimmy and DeRozan
just
were
in
swapped. And
total.
yeah, like I said, that was a big debate for me internally, and I ultimately went with Jimmy. Just defense pretty much and efficiency. But yeah, all right. So we're gonna move on to the West now. So as we did with the East, we're just gonna touch on the West starters. So I guess you could say there's a little controversy here too. So we have Jokic, LeBron, Zion in the front court. We have Luka and Steph in the back court. You got any disagreements? Anything to say about
I
that? Or you like it?
I like it. I think it's fine. Like I know that
Yeah.
a few people have a few gripes, but those are those are just about right. Like
Yeah.
those are right.
No, yeah. I really can't disagree. I mean, honestly, like that last front court spot with Zion, it was either going to be Zion or AD, and they're both at like 29 games played. So, like, honestly, I would
Zion.
probably not really consider either of them. But you get voted in as an all-star starter, so
Yeah.
you kind of bypass that. But yeah, so that's the starting five right there, and I'm gonna get right into it with my first guard off the bench. So I got Ja. I think I don't think this is much of a surprise to anyone. I don't really need to spend too much time on Ja. He's incredible. He's transcendent. And if you were watching the All Star voting, it was like he was right up there with Luka and Steph the whole time. So like we knew he'd get in here, and it was just a matter of whether he'd be a starter or not. So Ja's in there. He's a top 10 player, I'd say, in my opinion. He has incredible team success this year. He's on the 2 seed Memphis Grizzlies, best player, point guard, everything. It's an unquestionable pick for me. So you got anything to add to that? You got a disagreement or?
I mean I don't disagree with anything you said. I just in the order that I ordered them, I had him as my second guard, which is
Right.
again
Okay.
no slight to Ja. Ja's amazing. But
Who's
the
your
first
first?
guard my first guard that I listed was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Not complaining
It's
here.
probably it's probably a little biased from me just because I don't love the Grizzlies
Right.
and I do love watching and I do love like the build of the OKC Thunder. So maybe that's just like my little bias showing.
Right.
But it's also an all-star game. Like I vote for who I want to vote for. And my vote would have been for Shai and then Ja.
Oh,
Shai has
disclaimer, by
been
the way, we don't have ballot votes. I don't know if
oh
you
yes,
thought
no,
very
we
high
do not.
profile media members here. We we don't vote on this. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there, disclaimer, in case any of our countless viewers thought we might be actually voting on this ballot. We are not. We were not
Yeah,
invited this year.
we don't
This
want
year,
we don't want that confusion. We don't want that
no,
confusion. We don't want
we
any
don't.
problems with the
We don't want to mix it
committee.
up with
Like
anybody. No,
we just want eventually, maybe one day
one
we'll
day,
be invited.
maybe one day.
But no, not this year, guys. Not this year, guys.
No, this year. All right, but anyway, so Shay's your second guy. I don't think you had too much more to add there. Totally agree with you there. Shay's my second guy right here. Well,
Yeah,
Shay's your
it's
first
pretty.
guy. Shay's your first guy. Shay's my second
Yes,
guy.
yes, yes.
Top
It's
two,
pretty
our
cut.
guards, our West guard. They're
It's cut and
interchangeable.
dry. Like John,
You
and
really
Shy are the
can't.
first two guys. Yeah.
It's really all about preference there with those two guys. Some people prefer Josh, some people prefer SGA. But luckily, we don't have to pick between them because there's two guard spots right here, and they're definitely getting both of them. But I just want to add a
Exactly.
little bit to Shay. So he's obviously had like an insane statistical output this year. He's like 31 a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He's just been going crazy, absolutely going off. But the main thing here for me that I really like about his season, he's been so clutch. So I actually saw a stat, I think last night. He already, like right now, this season, has the most go ahead or game tying field goals in a single season right now in the last decade. We are 50 games into the season. He has, let me repeat that in case it wasn't clear.
I
Most
kind of was
game,
like, oh my.
okay, yeah, most go ahead or game tying field goals. So right at the end of the game, either to take the lead or to tie it up. He has the most in one season in over 10 years already this season. And the season is maybe 60%, 70% through, if that, not even. So obviously, yes, he's on the Thunder team, and they have been actually in a lot of really tight games. They're a young, scrappy team. They've been
That's what
competing,
I was
I'd
gonna
say.
touch on.
Yeah, exactly. So it shows he's obviously the best player, but he's a closer for them. They can rely on him. He's just been nothing short of spectacular this year. You really can't give him enough credit. But you got anything else to add on Shea?
Dude, just that clutch stat that you said to me, it just confirmed like my prior belief. Like I watch a lot of Thunder games because they're one of my favorite league pass teams, and I feel like they're always close games, no matter who they're
They
playing,
are. They're always in it.
no
Yeah.
matter who they're playing.
They
Like
play up and down to their Well, they don't really have to play two
exactly.
down. They play up to their competition for sure.
Yeah, I mean the big thing for me with Shy is that he sped up their timeline like
He really
by
did.
5 years. Like for real, it's crazy how fast he
He is.
just turned into a superstar. Out of not out of nowhere, but like this kind of jump was unforeseen.
Well, coming into the season, like I don't know if you remember, like we're like, yeah, like Shea's gonna get his numbers, but like when are they gonna shut him down? When is he gonna get that like calf injury that he just sits
Exactly,
out? And like I don't think that's
exactly.
happening this year. They're
No, I don't
competitive,
think
and there's
so.
no reason to shut him down. I mean, like you said, like do they really need another top 5 pick right now? Like I feel like at a certain point, it's almost too much. They have Chet hasn't even played a game yet. I mean,
Exactly.
it's great. I love what they're doing out there in Oklahoma. But yeah, so we'll go with the West front court now. So my first West front court guy off the bench is going to be Domantas Sabonis. So he's totally transformed the Kings offense. They've become I think we touched on this last episode. They're the second best offense in the league in terms of offensive efficiency. They've been incredible. They're the third seed. He really like this team was in such a rut like we touched on earlier in this episode, the Tyrese Halliburton trade, they got so much flack for that. And like everyone was like, why would you trade this guy? He's the first guy that really wants to be a king. But it's like Sabonis came here and he made everyone want to be a king. Like he really totally transformed this team. I know there was other moves. They got Herder, they picked up Monk, but he's really like the key that unlocks everybody. And I touched on it last episode too. He unlocked De'Aaron Fox's game. But anyway, so he's helping lead them to the 3 seed. He's averaging 18, 12, and 7. So 18 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists, which isn't the best statistical output of his career straight up. I think he had like 21, 12, and 6 one year in Indiana, but the
Yeah,
efficiency is off the charts. He's shooting
and
61% from the field. It's
and the effect
insane.
on winning is off the charts. Like,
Exactly. He's never had this impact. Yeah, they were solid in Indiana. They were like a, perennial six seed, whatever, something around
yeah,
there. But this Kings team like really has a shot, I think, to make a run in the West. I think they're one trade away from like really becoming a legitimate threat. I think they're one step away, as I said. I think they're almost a legitimate threat. They're about as threatening as you could be without being like an actual championship. Like these guys could be in the finals, like no doubt about it. But anyway, so yeah, I got DeMontis here in the first front court spot in the West. You got anybody different? You got the same thing?
no, I completely agree. Sabonis is my first front court guy. Also, echo everything you just said. He's been phenomenal this season, and that's why like Kings fans are happy. I've literally in my life I have never seen Kings
Right.
fans so happy, and they're gonna break the playoff drought. Hopefully, like
Definitely. They're definitely breaking the
I know, I know. I don't want
100%.
to jinx them. I don't want to jinx them though.
You heard
But
it here first. Hey, if they don't make it, you know who
it
to blame.
exactly. Sorry, my bad, Sacramento. My bad, Kings fans. But yeah, no. I would like to move on to my second front court guy, just because we already spoke about Sabonis. We
Yeah.
spoke about what he's doing for this team in this city. But my second front court guy is hometown guy for the All Star game this year, taking place in Salt Lake City, Utah, and that is Lauri Markkanen.
I got the
How
same
about
guy here.
that, Lauri
I got the same guy.
Markkanen,
Yeah.
All Star?
Throw in the Donovan Mitchell trade. Total
Just a
throw in.
throw
I mean,
in.
no.
He played like what 20 minutes a game last year for the Cavs.
No,
24
yeah, it was
minutes a
like
game.
28. He was playing like
He was
six
playing
man minutes.
six,
It
seven
was
man
such a
minutes.
weird role though. They had him playing as a 3 most
Yeah,
of the
next to
time. It was
Kevin
such an odd
Love.
role. And he didn't play terrible in the role, but it was
No, it
not
was
the
just
role.
not
But
him.
yeah, you could see
Yeah.
now in this role he's absolutely shining. So I feel like this has been making the airwaves a little bit. So his numbers right now, I think he's at 26 a game, 25, 26 a game, 9 rebounds, great efficiency from the floor, and great shooting from 3. His numbers are pretty much exactly the same as Dirk's MVP season. I don't know if you saw that anywhere.
I haven't
Yes,
seen that, and it doesn't really do anything for me.
it doesn't do. Yes, the stats are inflated. Stats are out of control, inflated right now. But I mean, you can't tell me that's not
No,
awesome.
no,
Like
no.
that's a
It's
pretty
it's
awesome like
awesome.
little like thing right there. But yeah, so his numbers are pretty much on par with Dirk's MVP season, and he's the best player on a Jazz team that's still in the play-in. They're still surprisingly very competitive, maybe even gonna make a playoff berth here. So I definitely had Laurie at my second spot here. You got anything else to add on Laurie?
No, the only other thing I wanted to add is that this past summer, I'm big into like all the Eurobasket stuff and all the like national like tournaments versus other countries and whatnot. And this summer he played with Finland and he dominated. I
Right,
was
I
like
remember. Yeah, I
I
remember
was
that.
watching he went up like against Giannis, he went up
Yeah, that
against
was a
Jokic.
little bit of a story in the summer. I feel like everyone forgot about that. That's actually true.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
He balled out over the summer and
Yeah.
people were just like, "Oh, he's just, you know, doing what
That's what guys
NBA
do for the
players
national team. Remember
do."
Evan Fournier?
Yeah,
The Knicks
exactly.
signed Evan
Exactly.
Fournier to a $20 million
Because
a year
because
contract
he
because
lit
he
up the
balled,
US.
because he lit up the US playing for France. Yeah. No, yeah,
But
that's definitely an oversight. I totally forgot about that. I didn't even think of
that's
that.
like and everyone was like, "I don't really care." Like he's doing what international play like what players do internationally. And then he came into the season, he was even better. Like it was crazy. But yeah, I know we touched enough on Laurie now. My third front court guy, I know this is probably gonna anger you a little because you're a big stickler for games played, but I have Anthony Davis.
Honestly, I don't have him on the ballot. I was looking at games played. I didn't even think of it though. He just played tonight and he's going to play a few more games. So
He's gonna have
honestly,
over like 32, 33
he's gonna
games.
hit my benchmark. So honestly, I should have had him here, but I mean, I guess picking as of today before we recorded this, it's January 31st. Like this was before the game, he was at 29 still. So I guess technically I would assume most of the votes are in probably. So like I guess you could still say, but okay. Yeah, so you have AD there. Definitely an oversight on my
Yeah,
part. I don't have him there, but okay.
I have 80 like and I understand he only has played 29 games and say he didn't
30
play up
now.
until
Yeah,
the
I guess
All-Star
30
break.
now. They
Yeah,
just finished the game, so
30 games like those 30 games have been fucking elite, man. He's
yeah.
been an MVP like he was in the MVP conversation for those he had like 2 weeks. I think with Braun hurt. Braun was hurt for a little bit for like a week or so. A
Yeah,
week and a
at some
half, two
point this season
weeks.
he was out. He was
At
out for a
some
little
point this
while.
season, he was out for a little while, and AD fucking dominated. He was amazing, man, and that like that's just stuck with me. And since he's came back, he's been amazing again. So yeah, he's my last front court guy. I had to get him in there, me
Okay.
personally.
So I had Paul George here. I didn't like it. I actually hated it, as a matter of fact. I
I
was getting to this point. I wasn't
yeah
considering Anthony Davis. Like I said, if I was considering Anthony Davis, he would have been this spot. But like I was picking these front court guys for the West Reserve. I was like, wow, the West is very thin in the front court. Like once you get
yeah
past those
mainly
top
because
few
of
guys,
injuries,
yeah,
but
mainly because of injuries. Once you get through those top few guys, I was like, wow, it was definitely a lot harder for me to pick the East guys than it was for the West guys. But
Yeah.
I have Paul George here mainly because I wanted to get the Clippers represented. And like I said, the West forward pool has been so thin this year. I would have preferred to have AD or Kawhi here. I actually noted that. I would prefer to have one of those two guys here, but based on my criteria, I was just like, I just haven't played enough games for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, looking back, I'd put AD here, even over Kawhi and Paul George, if they all had the same amount of games. His numbers just been out of control. He's playing MVP level. I mean, I guess not an MVP level anymore, but he did have that 2-week stretch where he was absolutely balling. I think he's like 27, 12, and 3 on the year. So I definitely would have AD here. But yeah, I wanted to get the Clippers represented. I said Paul George has 36 games. AD, actually, I think AD has 27. So, I guess I can
Okay.
still justify it that,
Yeah.
all right, whatever. I'll just justify it. Okay, so Paul George is my third guy. Like I said, the West gets thin. He wouldn't have made it if I didn't have to pick a forward here. So honestly,
enough.
that being said, I don't really want to waste too much time here. He's had a great season. I mean, he's averaging 22, 6, and 5, and he's, like I said, the Clippers are in the 4th seed. So like, I definitely wanted to get the Clippers represented there. So I got Paul George kind of here by default. But yeah, so Paul George is my last front court guy there. But that actually brings me right into my wild card, unless you have anything you want to comment on. Like,
The only thing I would comment on is like, yeah, I wanted to get the Clippers in there also because, like I said last week, they're my 4th team in the West.
yeah,
But,
no, I definitely was sleeping on the Clippers last week. I mean, they've really put it together. Even on national TV, whatever game they were playing, that night actually, yeah, when they were playing the Lakers that night, they killed the Lakers. And I forgot who was calling the game, but they said they was like, don't look now, but the Clippers have a run at the 3 seed. Like, it's definitely possible they get their guys healthy. But yeah, that's besides the point. So yeah, you got anything else to add on the Clips? Paul George, AD, or you want to
yeah,
move into wild cards?
let's just move on to the wild cards.
You want to go first, or should I go first?
Yeah, my wild card, probably your wild card, your first wild card as well. I mean, it's Dame. It's Dame.
Yeah, boy. All right, good.
Dame.
Yeah, Dame Lillard, bro.
He's been
Go ahead.
30 a
Go off.
game, like insane efficiency. Dame's one of my favorite players in the NBA.
Not
He
even
has been.
career high, 30.4 points per game. Previous career high, I think, was 30.1. So I mean, it's not a
Dude.
career high, but it's a career high technically. And like you said,
He's-
insane efficiency. Best effective field goal percentage of his career, 56.6%. So he's really killing it on offense.
He's unreal. He's better than ever. And people were like, "Oh no," because of the USA team when they played. I think it was last summer
In
before
USA, he had a broken abdomen.
I know.
He was
Like people were freaking out. Oh, Dame's regressing. Dame's regressing. Dame ain't regressing. Dame just dropped. He just dropped a 60 bomb not even like 4 days ago.
Well, that was my
I
other
mean-
point. That these like on top of his averages and his statistical output in terms of that, he's had incredible performances. So he's had 5 40-point games this month in January, 5 40-point games, one of which was 50, and then one of which was 60 last week. So
60,
he's been
yeah.
absolutely killing it. Yeah, he's absolutely going off. But yeah, so Dame was definitely in there for me as my wild card. He's the best player on a Blazers team that's been sneakily competitive. They've been actually they're right there, like we said last week. I mean, the West is so close. You could look up in a month and they could be the 5th seed. Like, it's totally
the
on
last
the
time
table.
when we spoke about this last week,
They
the
were like
West-
13th or something.
There
or
and
12th,
the
yeah.
standings were like flipped on their heads. Like the T Wolves were in 11th.
It was
I looked
literally
today,
reversed. Yeah.
The T Wolves were in like 5th. The Clippers were down there in like 10th. Now the Clippers are in 4th.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah,
crazy.
apologies to Blazers fans and T-Wolves fans. We kind of swept them under the rug last episode, and then we both said we were like, gosh, we kind of look dumb for that. But I mean,
yeah.
it's so tossed. It's like you said, it's all flipping on its head every week. I mean, it's so hard to really project what's going to happen until you get a little closer to the playoffs. But I mean, yeah, the Blazers are definitely in that mix right now. He's the best guy on their team, obviously. And like to my point about Paul George and just the third front court spot in general, the fact that it has to be a front court spot, Dame's only a wild card here because I had to pick another front court guy
Yeah.
before him. So that's really the only
Yeah.
reason. Otherwise, he'd be, the 5th guy on my reserve. Honestly, maybe even higher. He'd probably be right behind either Sabonis or maybe right behind the guards. But yeah, so that's both of our wild card. You got anything else to add on Dame?
No, nope. We said it all. Like we
All right,
got
let's-
enough out on him.
Let's see. What's your last wild card here?
You're not gonna like my last one. I don't think.
I
Based
don't
off
think
of
I will
your
now that you said that.
criteria,
Yeah.
Yeah, my
Oh, you're
last guy is
killing me.
actually
I know who
Devin
it is
Booker.
already.
Devin Booker.
Oh, okay. I didn't think you were going. Oh, okay, yeah. That makes. He's really played. Not.
He's
That's
played 29. He's played 29 games.
29.
Right
Okay.
there with Anthony Davis.
But he's not gonna play before the All-Star break, so he's not even gonna have a chance to
He's
get
not.
that up.
But
He's disqualified in my opinion, but I totally
that's
see where you're
fair
coming from.
enough.
So you make the argument for me.
Like
I
for
mean, you really don't
me,
have to make the argument. Like I
there's
literally
no
have him
argument
listed.
really to be
I literally
made.
have him listed here. Honorable mentions: Devin Booker, not enough games. Like that's literally
Yeah,
the only reason don't have him here. So you really
like
don't have to argue it for me. But let talk your shit about D Book
just
for a minute.
yeah, bro. T-Book is unreal. He's a for me, like he's a shorter Jason Tatum. Like he's a shorter Jason Tatum in my eyes right now.
What about
He's
defense though?
un he has
He holds
nothing
his own. He
he
holds his
holds
own,
his own. He's not an elite toolsy defender like
but he's not a
Tatum because
liability.
he's not a liability.
Not
He's
at all.
honestly he's probably slightly
Above
positive as
average.
a
Yeah,
defender. He's a slightly above average defender.
I agree with
But
you
yeah,
there.
no, I just he like they fell off a cliff when he went out. That was the big thing for me. Like he was carrying that team crazy. CP3 was not the same. CP3 looked really good over the past week. We didn't even talk about the Suns at all last week, but
No, well, we
they've
kind of glossed over them too. And I was gonna
they've
say,
made a
yeah,
little
CP3's
run.
been heating up. You look at his last five, he's like 30, 12, 22, 13. Like he's picking it
Yeah,
up. He's picking it
yeah,
up
but
for sure.
this isn't about CP3 though. No,
No, it's not.
like D-Book, I've said enough about him. He's amazing. Like that's about it, honestly. Who's your last wild card, Nick?
So my last wild card, I'm gonna stick with the theme of the Beam team, and I'm gonna go with De'Aaron Fox here. So De'Aaron Fox is my last wild card spot. I think it's undoubtedly his best season of his career right now, and that's mainly in terms of the combination of his statistical output. So he's like 24 and 6, 24, 6 and 4, I think, which he's had like a 27, 25, 7 and 4 season before. But the difference between this season and that season, obviously they're the 3 seed. They didn't even sniff the playoffs his whole career prior to this. But at the same time, his efficiency is definitely up. His statistical output, like I said, is right there. And at the same time, the team success, all kind of the combination of those things brings me to giving him this last wild card spot. And similar to SGA, he's also been one of the most clutch players this season. But yeah, so I got D Fox in at the third spot there. At the last wild card spot there, mainly due to his improvements as a player, not necessarily in terms of statistics. I think he's
Mm-hmm.
always been on that all-star cusp, but just like the mix
Yeah,
of all the injuries, like the not enough games played for certain guys, pushes him over the edge for me and gets this last wild card spot. You did your last wild card, right?
yeah. My
Yeah,
last one was
with D
D-Book
Book,
because the first one was Dame for both of us.
right?
But I like completely agree with everything you said. I kind of felt really bad leaving De'Aaron off my list
Yeah,
because
it's
he's
just
been so
it's a
great.
painful thing to do. Yeah, he's like I said, he's been that borderline all star his whole career. It's like what more can you ask of this guy at this
Yeah,
point? He's
I
really
know.
put it all together, in my opinion. That's why he gets the spot from me.
He's living Mike Conley's life. He's living Mike
He
Conley's
is.
life.
Didn't
But
Mike Conley get like one bid at the end and just like ruined
dude,
his
it
career
was a
even more?
reserve. It was like it was an
It
injury
was an injury
replacement
replacement.
too,
Yeah, he was the best non All Star ever, and they were just like, you
and they
can't even
ruined
have
it.
that.
They
You're gonna be the
ruined it.
worst All Star ever. He
Fucking
flipped it on his
NBA,
head.
man. Oh my
Yeah, yeah.
god.
Anyway, so yeah. So the other guy that I had like very tightly behind D Fox that I had to bump down to my injury replacement spot here, Anthony Edwards. So like we said a week ago, we talked about this. The T Wolves were like, yeah, I mean T Wolves, they're like in the 11th spot. Sorry, T Wolves fans, we're gonna gloss over them for now. T Wolves are in the 5th or 6th spot now. Like we said, the standings are jumbling every night. They're like 27 and 25. So they've been sneaky really good actually. The past like week or two, they've been really playing well against some good teams. I think they beat the Kings last week. So Anthony Edwards, I'd say he's the best player now. I think it's undebatable. I don't think it's very debatable anymore. I think obviously Cat's been hurt, but I think even when Cat comes back, I think there's been like a little bit of a paradigm shift in this
It's Ant's
franchise.
team. It's Ant's team.
I think everyone realizes that it's Ant's team now. And honestly, like weirdly enough, the Gobert trade, even though it was terrible, probably the worst trade in NBA history, I don't know if it necessarily like was beneficial for Ant's career, but like I think it definitely did give him like a pick and roll partner and someone that could kind of make up for his defensive lapses and let him be a little more like take a little bit more risks on defense. But
Yeah.
anyway, so between him becoming the best player and like taking the reins on this Wolves team, he's scoring a very efficient 25 points per game. He's effective on defense when he wants to be. It's not necessarily like he's a lockdown defender, but when he really locks into it, you could tell like he has the chops to be one of the best perimeter defenders in the league right now. And I know it's an all-star game. It's not about defense, but honestly, I was stretched thin with the West here. Like I didn't getting to the bottom of this here. Like it was getting tough to pick guys. And honestly, Edwards kind of popped into my head. I was like, oh, that's a guy that I could definitely throw in there. but you have a different injury replacement, or do you agree on that?
No, I agree. I have Ant as my injury
Okay.
replacement too. The only person that I like really had a problem leaving out in favor of Ant was I'm drawing a blank right now. I just had him on my head. Well, I did have a problem like leaving Kawhi out, but
Not
Kawhi
enough
just
games
like
for me.
he didn't play. He didn't play in the first half of
Well,
the
it's
year at all.
interesting. I was looking at Paul George and Kawhi, and like honestly, the numbers are kind of like the same. If anything, Kawhi is actually a little bit better. And
Yeah,
like for me, I was like, oh, it's games played, 27 versus 36. It's 9 games, but at the same time, he's played
it's
25% less, so it's kind of a lot. Like it kind of
yeah.
has to be factored in.
And then the other thing that stood out to me, if we did this a week ago, I probably would have had Jaren Jackson in instead of Ant.
Mm,
The
ew,
Grizzlies, the
ew.
Grizzlies have gone on a tailspin. The
Right, that's
Grizzlies
true.
have gone on
He's
a
been out. Yeah,
tailspin, and Ant and the T Wolves have been like on a surge. So I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it kind of just like I
Team
knew
success
that
kind of
I
thing.
would much rather have Ant in, but I just had to
Jaren's
have it
just not playing
confirmed.
enough minutes for me. He didn't even get
I
an honorable
know, I
mention for
know.
me,
I
honestly.
I if that's why like I really don't think I would have ever had Jaren Jackson in here.
Right.
But I just had to like mention like it's funny how things turn in a week.
Okay. All right. So, do you have any honorable mentions, or you kind of just you don't got anybody
I
here? I mean, I know
mean,
we mentioned a few guys that you had a tough time leaving off your ballot.
a couple guys, De'Aaron, honorable mention, Paul George, Kawhi,
Right.
like we spoke of already.
Yeah.
One that I think is kind of interesting, CJ McCollum. Like
Yeah.
CJ,
I didn't honestly didn't even give him enough consideration. He should probably be here for me on these honorable mentions.
like we said with Bam before, he didn't when Bam was playing without Jimmy, it wasn't like they were like incredible. They were staying afloat.
Yeah.
CJ's been doing the same
He's
thing
totally
without
keeping them afloat.
Zion and Ingram. Like he's been missing both of them. And other than that, no, I don't think I really have many more choices.
Yeah. Honestly, just to touch on CJ and the Pelicans, that's another team last week. They were like the 5th seed, and all it takes
Yeah.
is that you lose a few games. But I mean, I still have high hopes for the Pelicans because you literally add Zion, and Bi is getting back into it. He only had like 16 games before he went down, and he's played a couple games since then. He's obviously shaking the rust off. But like you add Zion and Bi to this team, I'm not too worried about them. I think they'll probably hit a little bit of a heater at some point. So just wanted to touch on that. But yeah, so for my honorable mentions, I had Anthony Davis, not enough games. I mean, I guess you could argue that he does have enough games. Looking back, he probably should be here instead of Paul George for me. So I mean, I'll watch that one. But Anthony Davis, Devin Booker again, not enough games for me. Kawhi, he's been heating up as of late. Again, not enough games. Like you said, it's thin in the West because of the
It
injuries.
is. Yeah.
I also had this is an interesting one. Aaron Gordon has been getting like a little bit of All-Star buzz, I guess more in like
Yeah.
the advanced metrics community. But he's the league leader in net rating. I know it's because he plays with Jokic literally exclusively, but he's like the league leader. I think he's like 12.7 plus net rating. So this guy, when he's on the court, he's used to being up by 13 points every time he's touching the court. I just thought that was funny. Thought that was
It
good to throw
is.
in there. And also, they're the 1 seed. Argue like they could be like the 1 seed overall by come All-Star break. So usually like the 1 seed will get 2 guys in. That's why I just threw him in as an honorable mention, but I really can't get there all the way. It's still like 17 a
Yeah.
game, and he's a supporting piece. He's a very high end role player. He's not a star.
I'll tell you what though, if I was a voter, I would be voting Aaron Gordon in. The only reason I would vote him in is because he said if he gets into the All-Star game, he'll do the dunk contest
Oh my
again.
gosh, yeah, he did say that.
I need
Second
Aaron
note.
Gordon
So
back in the
actually,
dunk
my
contest.
first front court guy in the West is Aaron
Aaron
Gordon.
Gordon.
Yeah, and then one other guy I just want to throw his name in, Desmond Bain. I don't think he's ready yet. He'll be here within the
and
next
he
few
has
years.
like
Also, not enough games.
not enough
Also,
games.
not enough games. So yeah, those are a few guys I just wanted to like throw their name in there. But yeah, so if you want to run back through it, I can go back through my ballot here. So for guards, I had Ja and Shea in at the 2 guard spots in the West for reserves. For the forward spots, front court spots, I had Domantas Sabonis, Lauri Markkanen, Paul George. Regrettably, I'd probably swap that out for AD. You know what? I'm
I'll
just
let
gonna
you.
do it
I'll
now.
let you.
I'm just gonna do
Yeah.
it now. I'm swapping that out for AD. Paul George is off the ballot. Sorry, buddy. Good news is you're top of the honorable mentions. So there you go. But yeah, so I got AD at that 3rd front court spot. He would be the 1st front court spot, but like I'll knock him down a few pegs because of those games
Yeah.
played.
Yeah.
So then we got Dame Lillard as my wild card, De'Aaron Fox as my other wild card, and Ant Edwards as my injury replacement. And you had
My West backcourt was Ja and Shy, obviously. My front court, Laurie, Sabonis, AD, same three. And my wild cards, Dame and D Book, and my injury replacement Ant. I mean,
Yeah, we really
pretty
didn't
similar
have
list.
much variation
The
here.
only one that we disagreed on was D Book versus
Yeah.
who'd you have in there again? De'Aaron. You had
I
De'Aaron
had
in there.
De'Aaron. Yeah, honestly, I thought we were gonna disagree a lot more on these ballots in general. And like while we disagreed in like the placement of the guys, generally
We
we have
didn't
the same
disagree that
pool.
they're all stars. Yeah.
There's just so many injuries this year. Like it really is hard to find a different mix of guys to put in there in the West. And kind of the same thing with the East. I know we had like a little bit of a spat with like the DeMar and the Jimmy thing, but like honestly, those are very interchangeable guys at this point right now. But without further ado, our last little segment of this episode we wanted to do a mock draft, all-star mock draft. So this year it was actually announced that the all-star teams are going to be picked like on court, like right before the game tips off. We'll see if that's actually what happens. I like would be willing to bet that they're gonna like stage it and like they're gonna like pick it before, because like I don't know, just the semantics of that. I don't really see how you could make that like totally work. I mean, I would love to see it. I really hope that's what they do, that they really pick these teams right before the game, right before tip off, and we have LeBron and Giannis like talking to their guys like, oh, pick this guy. But at the same time, whatever. Either way, whatever way they do it. So Steven is going to be LeBron James in this situation. I'm going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo in this situation. And basically what we did is we took the starters as the pool of starters, and we took each of our ballots, took all those players, put them into one big draft pool. So we have one draft pool, and without further ado, we got LeBron on the clock with the first pick. LeBron, who are you going with?
With the first pick in the 2023 All-Star mock draft,
Okay.
I will select Stephen Curry.
Yep, that's not even.
It's not
I
like
could not see you doing anything else.
it's not the best player conversation. It's just who do you want to play with the most, and everyone wants to play
LeBron
with
is gonna,
Steph.
yeah, LeBron's gonna definitely pick Steph. All right, so LeBron goes. So then, as Giannis, I think I'm gonna go with Luka on this one.
It's a good pick, and you stay in the European family.
Well,
Stay in the
honestly, if
European family.
I am playing as Giannis, he literally picked like all international guys last year.
Yeah,
So
he
I
did.
totally
He did.
yeah. All right.
With my next pick, I'm going to select. I mean, since I'm LeBron, I'm gonna select KD. I'm gonna
Okay.
select KD. Yeah, yeah, no explanation behind it. I just want to see who you pick next.
Going with Jokic, going with the Joker.
Yeah, I was hoping
I
it could fall to
honestly,
me.
I honestly was just like, I probably should have picked him over Luka, but I got them both, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
He definitely should have been the first pick.
Yeah,
but
he should have been.
This,
I looked
this
at it
is
right after. I
our
was like, wait,
draft.
yeah, this is my
our
draft.
draft.
I'm Giannis tonight. All right, who you
All
got
right,
next?
so with my next pick, I guess I'm going to take. I guess I'll take Tatum.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take Tatum.
Mm, all right. All right, so I'm gonna go with. We have to pick starters, right? Yeah, we have to pick starters
Yes,
for the first
all
two.
starters.
Okay, right. So yeah, you're gonna go with Tatum. I think I need some guard play, so I'm gonna go with Mitchell. I'm gonna go with D Mitch.
I'm glad you said that because I need a front court guy, and who better than Zion Williamson, the king of the dunk in the All-Star
Sure.
game? Like so my next pick will be Zion, and that leaves you with one more guy left to choose from.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just making sure I have these all keep track of so we can look at the teams after. So who'd you go with? You went with Zion. So I'm gonna go with Kyrie, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
That is my pick right there. Okay. So starting lineups, for Team Giannis, we got Giannis, Jokic, Luka, Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving. And for Team LeBron, we have Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson. That's a scary team.
Yeah.
Moving on to the bench. So moving on to the bench, guys. So we have our bench pool from the guys that we just picked for our ballots for the All-Star reserves. So I think LeBron has the first pick here. So LeBron, who is your first bench selection?
With the first bench selection, I'm taking Joel Embiid. Pretty
All right.
cut and dry.
Not much of a debate there on your part. Okay. I'm gonna need to think about this strategically. This is harder than it seems in the moment. Picking a team like that, like yeah, like I could see how
it's
Giannis ended
difficult.
up with some terrible teams. It's like you just gotta wait, like
Yeah, wait,
they did it like this
like-
too. Like even when you're on the court, if they do it the way that they're planning to do it this year, like I said, you'll have guys in your ear like, "Hey, we should pick this guy because we have
Yeah.
this skill set here." Like Giannis was just like in a studio, just like looking at names. He's just
Looking
like,
at
I
names
got to
on
think
a-
about this from like a basketball
Exactly.
perspective right now. Anyway, I think I'm gonna go with. I mean, just because he's in this pool, I'm gonna have to go with AD on this one. I
Oh my
think.
gosh, that hurts my
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
As
AD on this
LeBron,
one.
as
Yeah,
LeBron,
as
like
LeBron James. Like
I
as LeBron
realized
James.
after I made my pick that I probably should have taken AD instead of Joel.
No, no. Oh, as LeBron, yeah. But
As
I mean, if we're
LeBron.
talking teams, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not
no.
totally putting myself in the shoes. I'm kind of just drafting a team right now. But okay. So you're going with who then as your what is this? Your second bench pick, right?
My
Yeah,
second
second
bench pick. Yeah, I'm just trying to make the most fun team ever. So
All-Star game, man.
give me Ja fucking Morant.
I mean, that was my pick if I didn't go with AD.
Yeah.
So I like that pick a lot. And on the back of that pick, I'm gonna pick SGA.
Okay.
So
Okay.
John SGA out of the pool.
Very fair.
Okay, so who's your next bench guy?
My next bench guy.
By the way, we have to keep track. How many guys are we're picking? No injury replacement. So there's going to be 7 bench guys. Okay, so 7
Yeah.
guys off the bench. So that's So this is 3
right
out of
now
7.
we both have
3 out of
we
7.
both have 2 and we're
We
on
also have
3
2.
now.
Yeah, we have the stars and we have 2 bench guys.
Yeah. Okay. My next bench pick is gonna be Dame Dollar. Another fun guy to have on your team, and him and LeBron have a pretty good relationship. So I would predict that LeBron probably goes with him also.
I'm gonna go with Jaylen Brown.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. Underrated pick for
Yep.
sure.
As we said, I mean that was top of our Jaylen Brown analysis, man. Underrated, surprisingly underrated.
My next pick, I need a little bit more versatility. I'm gonna go with Laurie. Honestly, I'm gonna go with Laurie. I really like
For this team, like now, this is the point where you start to get into some team building. Like I can totally
Yeah.
see that. You need a big man shooter right here. All right, the finisher. I like it.
the finisher. What a
So that
great
was-
nickname.
It's an awesome nickname. I mean, it's so natural yet it's so good. Like I don't like that he's in the pool, but because he's here, I kind of have to pick him. I hope he ends up in the real pool, but I don't think he will. D Book is my pick here.
Yeah, that's a fair pick. That's a fair
Yeah.
pick.
Like I said, not on my ballot, but I mean, hey, he's in the pool. We gotta take
He's in the
him.
pool.
Gotta take him.
All right, so
There you
we
go.
got my 4th guy coming up.
Yeah.
I kind of got to back up some of the shit I was talking before. So I'm gonna go with Tyrese. I think
Okay.
I think he could be a really fun all-star guy, just because
Yeah,
he's such a
no,
great passer.
I think he'll get 10 assists, literally.
Yeah,
And I think with a team like LeBron, I think he would empower him too to get those assists. So I like that
100%.
pick. I like that pick. Okay, so I got 3 more. You got 2 more bench picks. I'm gonna go with Julius Randle on this one. Like I said, his output is just crazy. I love the scoring. I love the rebounding. I love the 3-point shooting. Just a versatile guy, and I think like surrounded by guys like this, I think he'll definitely be able to like show out in a smaller role, just bully some people, hit some threes. So I like Julius in this spot right here.
I'm taking Ant. Ant's just another guy that I want on my team in an all-star game. So yeah, Ant's my next pick. I kind of feel bad about leaving some of these guys out of here right now, but
Right? It's interesting when we actually go in and pick who we
Yeah.
like really feel strongly about. You know what I mean? It like actually goes to
Exactly.
show some people you went to bat for like might not even end up on your team in the end of it.
exactly.
I mean, I got to put my money where my mouth is though. Give me some bonus for this pick right here. So we
Yeah,
each
I
got
was
one more
looking at
bench
him.
guy. We each got one more bench guy. So it's one more bench guy, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys on this pool still. So out of this, so the 6 guys left on the pool, Pascal is one. Funny enough, you were going to bat for Pascal.
I know.
Bam is the other one. Funny enough, I was going to bat for Bam. Neither of us picked either of these guys. Then we have Harden, Jimmy, DeMar, and we got De'Aaron Fox. So out of those 6, who is your last bench pick?
My last bench pick is gonna be. Wow, that's tough. It's a tough one. I'm just gonna go Harden.
Yeah, that's who I was gonna probably go with.
Like, yeah, he's so experienced in these. Like, he knows how to put on a show.
Okay, so you got Harden there. You know what? I need some rim protection. Give me Bam. I got Bam. So when it comes down to it, left out of the draft, undrafted, is Pascal Siakam, your boy, Jimmy Butler, my boy, DeMar DeRozan, your boy, and De'Aaron Fox, my boy. So it's a pretty it's actually a pretty good
Yeah,
balance right there. So
and
two
like
of our guys,
we
two of the
we
guys we each went to
talked
bat for got left off. Yeah,
we talked about it before though, but like we both had Pascal, Jimmy, and DeMar all in the same like
like tier.
realm.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
and they all
it's
kind of
not that
didn't
much
make
of
the
a
cut. Yeah,
surprise.
and then
Yeah.
Fox was actually like, I mean, it's an all-star game. Like, I don't know. I get where you're going with the Ant. Like, I don't know. Like, when it came down to it, like, I definitely could see, like, you just want to see Ant in an all-star game more than you want to see
Yeah.
D Fox. But for the real all-star game, I definitely think Fox should get in over Ant. But okay, so we're gonna run through it now. So Team LeBron is Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson. That is the starting five. Team Giannis. I don't know why I didn't start with LeBron on Team LeBron, but whatever. I'll stick to the theme. Team Giannis is Jokic, Luca, Giannis, Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving. So those are the two starting fives. And then for the bench, we have Team LeBron is Joel Embiid, John Morant, Dame Lillard, Lauri Markkanen, Tyrese Halliburton, Anthony Edwards, and James Harden. And the bench for Team Giannis is Anthony Davis, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jaylen Brown, Devin Booker, Julius Randle, Domantas Sabonis, and Bam Adebayo. So yeah, so pretty much that wraps up our all-star picks for the bench, our all-star reserve picks, as well as our all-star mock draft. So that pretty much wraps it up for me. Steve, you got anything else you want to touch on before we head out?
No, just had a really good time debating some all-stars with you. We basically came to a consensus, but it was fun. It was fun to have a
Unexpectedly, yeah,
little
it was a rough journey to get there, but like
yeah.
in the end at the end of the day, we kind of agreed on most of the ins and outs of what we were debating. But yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So I guess what's today? Today's Tuesday. By
Yeah, today's
Thursday
Tuesday, January
we'll know.
31st. So they're supposed to be announced before NBA on TNT tips off Thursday night. So that would be the February 2nd. I think like 7 o'clock they'll be announced. So yeah, we'll see sooner rather than later how correct we were on this. But yeah, like I said, it was great talking to you, Steve. Have a great night, man. Thanks for listening, everybody. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you on the next episode.